Today we have on a awesome guest, Sarah from the Wayfaring Five, and she is spectacular. I can't wait for you guys to hear from her. She is a mother of 5 beautiful girls, and they are very adventurous. And Sarah is an amazing DIYer, and she just can do so many things. So welcome, Sarah.
Thanks, Shelly.
So tell us a little more about you. What would you like
Okay.
others to know?
Well, I grew up in Texas, lived there still most of my life at this point. My husband's from Texas, 2 different parts. We've moved around quite a bit, mostly down south, southwest, and the deep south a little bit. But we've been living up in Ohio and West Virginia for the last few years. So most recently, West Virginia.
Yeah. So tell everybody a little bit about that. Yeah, I'll let you tell it. So how'd you get to where you are, maybe?
Right. So my husband felt real prompted that maybe we needed a change of pace, that he was really interested in the idea of RVing lifestyle. And he's been a remote employee for probably the last 12 years. So, as long as he has internet connection and the ability to occasionally travel, it doesn't matter where we're at. And so I, at first, reluctantly agreed to start looking at it. I was not in that mindset. We had a beautiful home and an incredible neighborhood and all the things I thought I wanted when we lived in Ohio. A huge house, a pool, and just all the things that society kind of tells you should want for.
Mm-hmm.
And so I prayed about it and was a little miffed that I felt definitely that the Lord was leading us in that direction. And so we went ahead and talked about putting our house on the market. It never made it to the market. We found out there was a family that went to church with us that was looking, and it's kind of a bonkers area real estate wise. And so we sold to them. And the closer and closer we got to us being fully untethered from things, I kept feeling really strongly that we needed some kind of home base. We needed some place that if crazy things happened again, like the pandemic or what have you, that we needed some place where we could go and to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
And this sounds really crazy when I say it, but you know what I mean? I could not shake that feeling. And finally I looked at Michael and I said, we have to do this before we can go on that journey. We can't just go on this journey and look for things as we're going. I'm like, no, we need to do this. And I don't think we need to be far from here. So we started, because we were in southwestern Ohio, we started looking in eastern Ohio because it's beautiful out there.
Mm-hmm.
And just never could quite find the right place. And we saw a piece of property in West Virginia, just across the border in West Virginia. And we came down to look at it right around Easter weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And we got lost in West Virginia's countryside, could not find this property to save our lives. We were in the area. We realized there was no way that this property that we had been coming to look for was in any way, form, or fashion going to support us being able to pull our fifth wheel onto it. And so, but we had driven 3.5 hours. So I was like, well, let me look and see what else is in this area. And let's go. At least it won't be a wasted trip if we can find some place and show up. So I found another one and I was like, we took this one off the list because it's over 100 acres. And that seems bonkers because that's 100 acres. I mean, we were looking for like 10, 15. It
Uh-huh.
had started at 5 and just kind of kept getting bigger and bigger. And I said, but it's only like a 30-minute drive from right here, so I think we should go and see it. I mean, we're already here.
Right.
And we pulled up, and it's where we bought. And it felt so great. And we walked up one of the trails to go up the mountain, and all the kids that were with us, our youngest 3 were with us. We just felt so like attached, like this is the spot we need to be. And so Michael and I talked about it, and we both decided absolutely this is where the Lord is sending us. This is
Uh-huh.
where we need to go. And so we went ahead and made an offer. And he had 3 parcels, and somehow Michael talked me into all 3 parcels. So now we have 289 acres. And we were still planning on traveling full time and then just using this as our comeback to. But as we came here and went to church and kind of got to know some of the folks at church, it's funny, we both felt like we needed to stay here. Like,
Uh-huh.
we never would have looked at this property because there's not a home here. It has all of the amenities, like all of the utility type stuff here, but there's no home here. So if we had just intended on selling our home and moved to another home, this never would have been an option for us. But because we had
Right.
the 5th will, suddenly, it seemed like the Lord brought us to a pivot point,
Right.
that he took us to a point where we could see the ultimately where he wanted us to go, which we
Mhm.
wouldn't have seen from point A. So he had to take us from point A to point B so we could see the ultimate point at point C. And so that's where we're at right now. We're in our 5th will. We're on our land. And again, I feel an incredible amount of um, wonder at being here, and the fact that, my entire life we always went east when we went on vacation. Every time we would drive into the Appalachian Mountains, I loved it.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it. And the fact that we own a part of that now is just mind boggling to me. And so, yeah, I just, there's no doubt in my mind that this is where we're supposed to be. And I don't know that I felt this settled in a long time. And that feels good. That feels really,
Yeah.
really good.
That is so neat. Yeah, it's amazing how the Lord works in his mysterious ways, right? And then
Yeah. Yeah,
you
for
gotta
sure.
step forward with that faith and just, yeah, you go with the flow. And then he's like, no, I actually want you to do this. So
Right. Right.
wow. And now you have the 5th will, so you can go and travel if you want, right?
We can. And that's the other thing. Someday you'll come visit me, I'm just sure of it.
That's
But
right.
the road situation here is kind of bonkers. I
Oh,
always
yeah.
laugh and tease and say, you know, everyone has like a standard road width, and West Virginia's like, we can do with less of that. So all of the roads are narrow, and they wind around the mountains because the whole state is covered by the Appalachian mountain system.
Uh-huh.
So it would be too expensive to cut through a mountain. But where we're at, like where the main part of our, like the most accessible part of our property, we've got a really good road system to get here, and not everywhere here is that lucky. So
Wow.
yeah, it was interesting getting the 5th will in, but yeah, it worked out really well. But again, luckily the road system is of such that's conducive for us to be able to have that freedom to do that. So
That's awesome. That's cool. Do you have any plans? Like, are you to travel a little bit or are you just gonna stay and
um we were gonna try and travel a little bit. Right now it's just, we're planning on staying.
right?
um One of my older girls came down and visited over the weekend, and I mean, we're within 3 hours drive of them here.
Oh, that's nice.
So I know they're going to be trying to come out for some of the holidays coming up, and um, again, just trying to stay on top of things. And then, of course, now we've accepted callings at church.
Yeah.
So that's gonna make it a little trickier.
Well, I mean, just like
I'm
short spurts, like to go out for a couple weeks here
right.
or yeah.
We might do that. I know while it's easier to get in here, I think Michael gets some anxiety about pulling the camper in and out because it is rather windy to get
Yeah.
like from the main road to get back to our house. It is rather windy. But right now we don't have any immediate plans to get out there and do anything. Um, so I, you know, and Michael gets antsy anytime he has given a commitment to do a calling, and then trying to get him to like go away anytime where we might miss a Sunday is often difficult for him. Like he's like, no, I made a commitment to be here for this. And I'm like, I know, but I mean, people can take vacation too. It's okay. But I imagine we'll probably after a little while, but we're definitely planning on kind of digging in for the winter
Yeah.
and getting prepped for that, which my mom's been so worried about. She was telling me earlier, she's like, I don't know about this. I'm like, it'll be fine. It'll be totally fine.
So, I mean, you have all this property, and I know you guys have already had a lot of adventures on us. Can you, why on the property? So, what is the draw, do you think? I mean, you're basically living in nature now. You have this fifth wheel,
Right.
but you're outside a lot and
Right, we are. So I get antsy if we don't go up the mountain at least every other day.
awesome.
Um, there's so much land out there. Um, well, I mean, just it's like we own our own like forested mountain, and it's
Yeah.
kind of amazing. And that was the other like agreement that Michael and I had when we looked at each other, and I said, this is the place, and he goes, that means we're gonna have to be outside, right? And I'm like, I'll get over myself because I am not always just a grand lover of being outside, but it feels different,
Mm.
again, um I feel very called to do this. um when we I always joke and say I blame Little House on the Prairie. It was one of my favorite shows as a kid. I've always been fascinated by the idea of like the homesteading lifestyle,
Mhm.
of being more self-sufficient. And someone's like, you didn't need that much land to do that. I'm like, I know, but um I think just being out in nature is one thing, but being out in nature with a focus and a goal to do something is much different.
Yeah.
And again, we felt very prompted to move here, and I have felt a drive to continue to do things. um Again, I feel antsy not going up the mountain every other day. We have game cameras to check, and it is a huge piece of property. And there's a part that, I mean, you have to have a presence up there because otherwise people will come and hunt on your property when you haven't
Oh,
given them permission to. And this was a hunting property for 5-6 years, and so there's a lot of maintenance and upkeep to do. We're constantly up on the mountain now that Michael's gotten a lot more comfortable with the tractor. um, on the mountain paths, because a lot of those little trails up the mountain, like, you're looking straight down. If you have a misstep, you're driving off the side of the mountain,
wow.
which can be a little nerve wracking. I have yet to get the nerve to go. There's a path from our meadow area that goes up the side up to the mountain. That's the easiest way to get up there, but I am too nervous to do that one. Once we get up to the top, I'll drive all around up there, but it's
Oh, yeah.
getting there from that um route that I'm not just in love with. So there's another back route where you can take county roads up the back of the mountain.
Oh,
And
okay.
anytime I drive myself up onto the mountain, that's how I go. So um I there's any number of things that will take some getting used to. But again, I feel like um this drive to be more self-sufficient, to not only me learning these skills, but then passing them on um, to my children is
Mhm.
really important. Um, it was odd. Like I was talking to the younger girls the other day, and I said, it doesn't take very long for those skills to wither and die.
Yeah.
My mother grew up on a farm, and I know she knows how to do all of these things, but she worked most of my childhood. I did not learn those things from her, so I will talk to my mom about this, and she'll say, oh yeah, you have to do, and she'll spit off all these things.
Uh-huh.
These are bits of knowledge that she had that I never, it was like that chain didn't pass down because
Mhm.
she had to help provide for our family outside the home. And I want to make sure that my girls know how to do these things. If they choose to do them, that's their business. But I want them to have those skills
Uh-huh.
so that, uh, if they choose this kind of lifestyle on their own later, it's not such a struggle for them, as I feel like, because there's so much conflicting information sometimes out there on the internet. And it's kind of nerve wracking deciding, well, am I going to do a till garden or a no till garden? Well, I don't know which is best. It's kind of I think frightening sometimes, just trying to differentiate between the two.
Yeah, I think the main thing with that is just to get started. And for
Right.
me, I just learn as I go, hands on, figure it out, tweak it here and there, you know.
Right.
So, and I mean, you've even had some, you were talking about foraging. So you've had some already bounty coming from the land, right?
Yes. Yeah. So we have a ton of wild blackberry bushes. And then they have the wineberry is what it's a
Hmm.
wild raspberry. They
Oh, yeah.
taste amazing. They're an invasive species.
Okay.
So I've had several people are like, you should take care of that. I'm like, should I? Because I really like to eat them. And whereas we plan on having a really productive garden and probably raising some animals down here in the meadow area, I, I mean, we don't intend on doing that up on the mountain, right? We
Uh-huh.
want to leave nature as much as possible. It's like owning our own like state park almost.
Uh-huh.
We want to maintain, we want to preserve it, but we don't necessarily want to cut down everything to try and, have a bunch of cattle up there or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
That was not our intention when we bought the property. But what is covering the entire mountain are these wild wine berries that taste amazing. They make a great jam. They're yummy in yogurt. They freeze well. So it's like one of those, like, I do intend on us harvesting what we can up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have no intention of clear cutting or anything else. I mean, we enjoy just hiking back up in there. And it I don't even know how to explain it, but we've got a herd of deer up there, and my husband's intending on hunting this year, and that's kind of awesome. He's never hunted our entire marriage,
Oh, yeah.
so he's a great shot though. So I have confidence in him. But it, it's wanting to preserve like a balance there, right?
Uh-huh.
I only want to add to the land. I don't want to try and pervert it to what people might think, right? I just want it to sustain the way it is. Um, Maybe doing some you know, keeping the underbrush down, doing some maintenance, things like that. But on a whole, we just want to preserve the forest back there, keep the trails clear, and really just help it thrive a little bit more.
And why do you
There's
think? Why do you think you have that draw to just do that?
it's it's just so beautiful back there,
Yeah.
um also I worry about erosion
Mm-hmm.
because it is a mountain and we get a lot of rain here. I worry if we tried to do something bonkers and like clear cut the mountainside that we might have some problems with landslide or whatnot like that. um and ultimately we're not looking at trying to make this big profit off of our land here.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to provide as much for our own needs here as we can, right?
Yeah.
And I don't need like a herd of cattle up there, to take care of that. I think hunting deer and maybe one cow sometime down the road would probably help out. But yeah, Michael and I definitely talked about that. We want to, there's a lot of little spindly trees that aren't really helping anything out, of clearing those out. Um, but there's a lot of things that grow here that are super beneficial. I've just got to figure out how to use them the best. I know we've got a lot of yarrow and that has medicinal uses. And,
Mm-hmm.
every time I'm up on the mountain, I'm taking a picture of something different that I have no idea what it is. I told Michael, I'm like, oh, stop the car. I have to get out. I don't know what the heck that is. And so I'll take a picture. And then when we get back down and I have cell service, I'll look it up and try and figure out what it is that I found. And there's so many things up there that, well, not necessarily for regular consumption. They're fantastic for medicinal herbs and things like that. And so
Mm-hmm.
I don't want there to be this like mark on the land where it's something awful that I've done to it. I feel like cleaning it up and caring for it.
Yeah. Be a steward in the best way you can.
Right. So I mean, if it's beneficial for the land, we'll do it. If it's going to be like this huge thing, or could be detrimental, we're going to leave it. Right. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We enjoy the forest back there, and I'm probably going to turn a couple of goats loose back there, because that'll just help with the underbrush. But again, anything that we do is just going to help maintain. I want to keep the ticks down so that we can enjoy it more out there. And just anything to help the land thrive.
That's awesome. That's exciting.
It is.
And you mentioned about how you felt about the property. I mean, when you guys go out, it seems like, I don't know, is there that peace as just being out in nature and just feeling I don't know, to me it's a spiritual presence.
It is absolutely spiritual presence. I mean, it's hard to be out there and not just look and wonder at
Mm-hmm.
everything that God has provided. I mean, I just, even to it, the invasive like berry species, it provides something for someone, right? I mean, they do kind of take over. If you just like let it go, it would be crazy back there. But it has a purpose. It's not just a plant that is taking up space just for the sake of taking up space. It's going to provide something for us. And it is amazing to me that that's how Heavenly Father works, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like such a reward to be able to care for something, but then also reap the rewards from it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just there's no cell service on the mountain, so it's peaceful up there, right? Because you're truly disconnected from things, which can seem scary. 2 days ago, we were working in the yard outside, and I told Michael, I'm like, I haven't been up the mountain in 2 days. You need to get the keys and let's go. And he didn't even question. He just got his shoes back on and went outside, and we went up the mountain and we're driving around. And typically we do this Sunday afternoon, but we have been exploring new trails because we have a vehicle that will drive off road.
And you have a few trails to explore.
And there's always new trails. We keep driving by, especially right now, because there's leaves starting to come down, so it's not as thick as it's been. So you're starting to see new things that were just obscured by greenery prior to now. And we checked one out and came across a downed tree, and we didn't have the chainsaw on the back, so we couldn't clear out the tree. And so the sun was going down and we were backing up, and we both were in the vehicle. That was our first mistake. I should have been out as like a lookout, but we turned the vehicle when we thought we were at the bottom so we could turn around and drive out of there, and we bottomed it out.
Oh no.
And realized we can't get out of here. and the sun's going down and our kids are down the mountain and there's no way to get a hold of them. And so we got out and I had my work boots on, which are really heavy. And Michael walked so fast and I could not keep up with him. And finally I looked at him. I said, I need you to go get the other car and come get me. I am not going to make it down before the light, but before we lose light, I'm going to wait. There's 3 big deer stands up there, and one of them's in a wheat field. They'd planted it wheat for the deer.
Oh,
it's
okay.
wheat and clover. I said, I will wait for you in the wheat field at the deer stand. And he goes, okay. And then he took off and started running. And suddenly I'm by myself on the mountain. Everything sounds louder when you're by yourself. And there's like a whole herd of deer up there and a bear somewhere that I've not seen. And so I'm just like, I kept singing a hymn really loud to myself because my shoes were heavy and my legs weren't moving fast enough. And then I did have my cell phone, but no signal.
Right.
And so I turned the flashlight on because the sun fully set before I made it all the way to the wheat field, and something big was moving through the trees. It was a deer. I know it was, but I was just like freaking out. And
no, just kidding.
it seemed scary, but at the same time I felt calm.
Oh,
and so
awesome.
once you get up the deer stand in the wheat field, you have just a smidge of signal. And so I had luckily put on dinner before we went up. And so I texted the girls real quick, like, hey, you guys should go ahead and start eating dinner. Dad's going to have to come back and get me. And he did. He came right back up in my car, which luckily we got me a little runaround car that also is capable of going off-road.
That's good.
But yeah, he came back up and got me. And so it was still like this crazy experience, but it was fun. It's interesting and fun to explore and find these new things. And we're still finding things because we haven't, we've probably seen about 85% of the property now, but there's always little pockets where, we're discovering, oh, hey, that's where that trail goes, So it's really, really neat though.
That's awesome. And that's interesting. I mean, that you felt that calm. I'm sure the hymn and all that helped. Yeah. So I do that myself. But yeah, just I don't know. It's your land and you have that peace there. And even though there's those animals, I don't know. Yeah. Special.
Well, luckily, I mean, black bears are not supposed to be overly aggressive.
Okay.
From what I understand, they're pretty chill. Somewhere on our property is a black bear den. So I've been told, but we have yet to see these bears on anything other than trail cams. So I'm like,
okay.
I don't know. I think it's the sound of our vehicle probably keep them away because it's new. We've only been here since June and we were gone like all of July. So I think it's just kind of new for them. They'll probably get used to us and we'll probably start seeing them. But that's the biggest thing. I'm like, where are these bears at? Our neighbor across the street was the former caretaker and he keeps trying to explain where it's at. But I'm like, I don't know where that is. I don't understand your descriptions at all. Like that doesn't make sense in my brain, but it is
land map
pretty.
it maybe?
Huh?
Can he like map it out? Or is it too hard to do that?
I'm sure he could. He would probably he'd take Michael up there or me if I asked and kind of point to where it is. But yeah, I mean I felt a lot more comfortable being out there. And I know where most of the trails go. Michael knows where all of the trails go. I some of them I'm still like, wait, where are we going? We bought an old 4Runner. And we didn't realize when we bought it that like an actuator or something was out, so the 4-wheel drive wasn't engaging at the beginning. And so we actually had it in the shop to have that fixed right when we first bought the property. And Michael would leave out in the afternoon and then come back about, I don't know, sometimes shortly after dark or right before dark. He just walked it. He walked everything he could. And of course he moves so darn fast when he's walking. And he has like a game, like a GPS type app. And so
Oh, okay.
he walked most of the trails and I did not do that. So I've walked some of them because that's what we did for the longest time. We would hike up the mountain, and like we did that during foraging season. Unfortunately, a lot of the wine berries, which are so delicious, they're also fragile though. And
Oh.
so the kids, I had buckets connected to their hiking pack.
Uh-huh.
Um, they don't stabilize those buckets at all with their hand. They just like willy-nilly walk around. So we would come down with one bucket full of delicious looking berries that I carried, and then like 4 buckets of juice. So that's the other thing that's exciting about having the 4-wheel drive done. So I told Michael, I'm like, we will drive to do berry picking this next year so that we can do in patches and then preserve more instead of having these buckets of juice that I have to throw away because it's just ruined at this point. But we did do a lot of hiking during the berry foraging when we were going up the mountain to do that. And so those are the trails that I'm the most familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's several of them that I'm like, I better not drive down that one by myself. I don't remember where that one goes. If I have to back out of there, I don't want to have to back out of there because there's never a place to turn around. You're just backing up, this narrow mountain trail. But
so are your girls just loving it, like being out in nature and seeing this skill of foraging? I mean, that's a
right.
skill, and that's awesome. They're learning as they go. They learn that they can't slosh the berries.
Yeah. I will tell you, again, most of the time it's us like with a foot on their backside, shoving them out. Once they get out there, I guarantee you every time I've heard at least one of them say, "Oh, I'm having fun." But it's I don't want to go outside. It's hot outside, which is of course not the case anymore that fall's coming. But yeah, every time they are able to calm down and then really enjoy it. They really enjoyed the berry foraging.
Mm-hmm.
There was only one day that was maybe a little less than desirable because Michael was like, let's go explore this trail, guys. And then it took us forever to hike up out of there. But yeah, they are actually really enjoying it. There's all kinds of stuff to do here.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I experienced as a kid. We were never inside. All of our entertainment was outside. And that seems like that has shifted from my childhood to their childhood.
Yeah.
And particularly with the pandemic, nobody was encouraged to be outside and around other people. And I think it kind of took its toll, but here we're in a very small living situation. And again, now that fall's coming on and we're getting cooler temperatures and there's not as many buzzing like things buzzing your head, they're going outside a lot more and really really enjoying it. I'm not having to threaten them to get out the door or anything. But they're going out and helping out and then choosing to go back out on their own later and just play. And we have archery stuff and they'll go out and shoot a couple of arrows off or whatever. I mean, it's definitely it's definitely been a blessing. And then I love also whenever they'll tell me plans that they have for something. You know what, Mom, we could put like a trampoline over here, or oh, that would be the perfect tree for a tire swing, Mom, or all these different things. There's a creek at the back of the property or of this meadow area. Mm-hmm. And that we went hiking in on Saturday, and that was so cool. We went further back than we've ever gone before, and they really enjoyed that. And that was amazing. And Michael and one of the younger girls had gone back before, but I had never gone very far back in there, and it was really cool. It was very, very cool. But yeah, they're really enjoying being outside. Right now, my 14-year-old and I are studying about chickens right now. Broiler. I
Oh,
could
okay.
not think of the word broiler chickens, because I think we're going to go ahead and jump into that, even though winter's coming on. I think it'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Just put heat
but
on them.
right, it'll be fine. We'll figure that out. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we definitely we want to. They love the idea of getting chickens. I love the idea of getting chickens. I like the idea of them having something that needs to be done outside as well.
Uh-huh.
Keeping them connected, because it's so easy, I think, right now, especially with this generation, for them to get absorbed and sucked into things that are not real, right? That are
Yeah.
virtual experiences. And I want them to have real, experiences outside of devices. I mean, technology has its place. It helps us keep connected to people that are far away. That's how I'm able to speak with you right now,
Yeah.
or my family that's spread all over the US. And it certainly, I think, helped them with friends that they left behind in Ohio. But I am definitely all about looking for opportunities for them to have real experiences in person, and especially, again, outside. And none of them have really shirked from that, which I think is telling. I mean, they may whine about it a little bit, but they're also excited by the prospect of us getting chickens. And then, they're looking forward to the next thing, like, oh, mom, are we going to get a pig? Oh, I would love a pig.
Well, even and you said you had mentioned to me earlier that about your traditions on Fridays. So
Yes.
you,
Oh,
that
that's right. Yeah, we do Campfire Friday, every Friday. The only time we probably don't do it is whenever Michael is out of town, and I don't know what my deficiency is, but I cannot get a fire going to save my life. So I did get one going, enough for them to roast exactly 3 marshmallows, and they each consumed a marshmallow and then had to come back inside. But yeah, we do that a lot, and we explore different recipes with our Dutch ovens. And so if the whole meal is not cooked outside, at least one component of it will be. So
uh-huh.
we've done where I made something easy inside, and then we ate a cobbler that we made in the Dutch oven, or something for dessert.
Cool.
Um, or Michael has done, and he likes to get the girls involved. He's the one that really spearheads that the most. I am a great supporter of it, but again, I cannot for the life of me get a fire started and keep it going.
Well, that's where
Um,
your girls come in. They need to learn and get that fire
exactly.
going.
Yeah. The other day, Michael was like, "Oh my gosh, this is embarrassing." He goes, "We're gonna have to do like a fire clinic or something for all of you guys." And but I mean, he's shown me so many times. I don't know what I do wrong. Um, Even to it in the controlled environment in a house, we had a wood burning stove, and many of our places that we've lived, I can never get a fire going and keep it going. But yeah, we super love doing Campfire Fridays. And the kids are usually outside playing soccer or something else in the front yard, or playing with the dog. So I really love that we do that. We started doing that early on in the summer, and I told Michael I wanted to continue doing that. I know we're going to get some cold times this winter, so we may have to put it on hold, just for, you know,
Yeah.
it may be hard to keep things warm enough to cook all the way through.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to be a tradition that we can keep up.
That's neat. That's awesome. Like, yeah, I love you kept putting there's purpose and stuff. And so there's
Right.
purpose in that connection of being outside and learning a skill, and then your purpose in different things on your land. It's awesome. And I think that's what makes that stronger connection to you and that property, is there's purpose behind it.
Right.
We all
Right.
need that real purpose. So what advice would you have for the listeners of how they can get outside and connect more with nature and with God?
Um, I think, well, I mean, just getting your foot out the door is a big one.
Yeah.
I know for me, sometimes it's hard to talk myself into things. I am my own worst enemy a lot of times. I will talk myself out of so much stuff. I just, I just, I have a hard time like peeling the band-aid off, but just like the girls say, oh, this is more fun than I thought it would be, is going out. And then I think it's mostly about your outlook, right? Your attitude. If you're looking at, oh, it's so hot out here, or, oh, there's this bug keeps following me around or whatever, I think it might be hard to see the joy and feel in it. But if you're looking for, oh my gosh, look how green the grass is today, or looking for those positive experiences, and then I think, looking for fun things to do outside. If it's all nothing but work, I think sometimes being outside could feel like a chore
Yeah.
and not as much. And there can certainly be joy in those chores, but I think looking for ways to find recreation outside as well is really important. Um, I think
That's
just
a good
being
point.
outside, it's hard to miss the bounty, and it's hard to not recognize Heavenly Father's hand in all that we see, right?
Yeah.
Because everything, He created for us. And I think it's probably good to do those affirmations and think about that and make a concerted effort to think about, I'm going to look at one thing that I know Heavenly Father had a hand in while I'm outside today, and to recognize that and express gratitude for that. I think that's really important, is to just recognize and say, I'm going to make sure to say thank you for this, because I know that helps me. If I take the time to recognize and then say thank you for something, I'm more liable to look at that thing again, right? And to continue to look for other things to expand upon that. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much. That is a lot of good advice. And just stepping out, being grateful, and yeah, your attitude and your perspective. Just the gratitude towards Heavenly Father for all that we have in nature. It's just amazing. And all those great, delicious berries.
I'm gonna add a garden next year, but yeah, we unfortunately, when we closed on the property, our planting season had passed, and then we had so many other things going. I told Michael, I'm not even gonna try and force a fall garden to happen, but we will definitely be doing one come springtime. So
Yeah. A little at a time, right?
yeah,
Like you said, you're there. You're there to be there. So
right. I didn't think we were gonna get anything, and then I realized how many berries there were, and I went full blown on that. And I think the girls and Michael were all a little surprised. And I'm like, guys, this is the whole purpose of us having this land, is for us to be more self-sufficient. This is stuff that we don't have to buy from the store. Frozen berries are expensive, guys. And so I had never made jam before. So that was a new experience. I made freezer jam, which now I'm regretting. I wish I had done regular jam so it wasn't taking up freezer space. But we have apple trees, and one of the branches broke, and so I had to get those apples off. So I was like, what can I do with this? So I made a huge vat full of apple cider vinegar, and that is still marinating in there. And then I made a ton of like applesauce, and I hate regular applesauce. I don't like cooked apples, but I refuse to let things go to waste. So I bought a bunch of strawberries, because unfortunately we had eaten all of our wine berries. But again, because the sloshy buckets, we didn't get as much put away of the wine berries, which are my favorite. So I made some strawberry applesauce, and then I still had more apples left over, and I pulled a bag of blackberries out of the freezer, and I made blackberry applesauce, and it tastes awesome. I wish I had a food mill, because then I could have gotten the seeds out. But I mean, it's the girls helped me. It took us all day. We made 12-quart jars of applesauce.
Cool.
And in our tiny little RV kitchen. I mean, but I think it's good for them to see the lengths that I'm willing to go to put this food away. and how important it is not to let things waste, because again, those are gifts that Heavenly Father has given to us, right?
Yeah.
It's, I think it is up to me to make the best of what we have and not let things go to waste. And I mean, whatever apples were left, the deer more than took care of. I
Yeah.
have so many videos of the deer just right in front of our, I mean, we're outside on Campfire Friday, not like 15 feet from them. And they're just like, hey, I'm going to eat your apples over here, you know? So, I mean, nothing's going to waste, but I still think it's a great to preserve what I can, to put away for a time when maybe it's not nice outside and we can't just go out and pick an apple off the tree. We can still enjoy, you know, that flavor, or, you know,
Yeah. And
taking care of, go
yeah,
on, I'm
what a
sorry.
beautiful experience. I mean, you said that the deer came and down and ate right there while you were there. So, I mean, for your kids, even just to witness
Yeah.
that, that's
Yeah.
so
It's
awesome.
been so fun as we walk up on the mountain, when we're hiking. They'll be like, oh my gosh, mom, come check out this deer track, which I will say deer in West Virginia are almost like squirrels. They're everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
They're everywhere. I mean, they don't even point them out when we drive past them anymore because they're all over the place. But
Oh,
they've
wow.
seen wild turkey. There's a bunch of wild turkey up on the mountain.
Oh,
And just them identifying the different tracks has been kind of fun. We
yeah.
found some bobcat tracks, which luckily have not run back into the bobcat.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be kind of scary. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's all those little like things, them starting to recognize the different plants when we're out, because I share that, they can recognize one of those wineberry plants like that now.
Yeah.
They don't have to ask to double check. Oh, mom, do you think this is, they know exactly what it is. It's a distinctive look. And I love that. I love watching them learn and then retain, you know, that knowledge, and them having interest in it. And some of them have more interest than others, or in certain areas more than others. But yeah, it's really cool them being able to identify different types of trees. I know at least one of them is like, can we make some maple syrup this winter? And I'm like, I gotta look up the rules, but we're gonna try it out,
Right.
because we've got lots of maples. But yeah, it's just it's seeing them be excited about these projects. And then, of course, kids have such a short attention span sometimes, but then being able to be the parent and remind them of this and see them get excited about it again, and
Yeah.
get ready to travel down that road is, I think doing this journey with the kids is probably the most exciting. My oldest daughter hasn't been here yet, but my second one came down and she was pumped about everything. She went hiking back up in the creek, and
Yeah.
she picked up some cool things that she thought were neat and took them back home with her.
Wow.
So I mean, things like that I think are pretty great. I think what we're
Yeah.
building here, a family legacy, is pretty great.